sometimes the technical stuff doesn't do what we want. So digital self-defense material for learning and teaching is now brought to you by Dorina Gum. Hi Dorina, thanks for being here. You're a professor for web information systems and at the University of Lübeck. We're pretty always happy when we have people from far Germany today. Well, not well, you didn't have a long time to travel here today, but this easy distance hopping is an advantage of the corona. So what are you doing in your job approximately? Well, of course you can ask. So mostly I'm doing courses about web technology. So we have different courses there, like basics and advanced topics about web technology. And so we aim to, so as this is the aim, what we want to do. So this is why it's called Professorship for Web Technology. And also in this in this scope I also do web security. And so this is how this talk came about. So hi, I'm very happy that you're interested in this talk. So about digital self-defense, which I think is a very important topic. And I'm always very happy that the Privacy Week exists, even if I usually have very little time to participate. So that's why I'm even more happy to be here today. Well, so I said a little bit about myself. So I'm from the Technical School of Lübeck, and well, my focuses are technology and media computer science, which is an online course, an online curriculum. I do a lot of IT security stuff. So we now start this semester with IT security as a new bachelor's degree, and I also work on digitalization in teaching. But well, if you're interested, you can just ask me later in the break room. So, okay. So I want to show you the teaching material I'm using. So we have 3 MOOCs, massive open online courses, which realize this topic. So they are hosted on a platform oncampus.de, which is an organization which is part of our university. So what's the background of this teaching offer? So we have this new course and curriculum IT security, and so we thought about how does such a curriculum for IT security looks about. So yeah, it's computer science and networks, programming, how to secure them, and hardening. How can you certify organizations? So it's all very, very big and very huge. But we wanted to see something, so how can you start small? So if I don't have any knowledge myself, so and from an individual perspective, so how can I realize that as an and this was important for us, so that we see how we can save ourselves or defend ourselves, so that we can actually teach that. So I was really pressing for having a bit of self-defense stuff, digital self-defense stuff in this curriculum. And the second thought on this was when you're really thinking on this individual level of security, that looking on the curriculum at the university, that these basics are very important to have, basics for advanced modules, and then you just have this, oh yeah, I've already heard about that in the basics course. So, and then we ask ourselves, okay, so how can we create those offers? And so now these we created these 3 MOOCs, which were financed by a project which is about opening up universities to the general public, and just the average person can participate in university stuff. So this is why we did this as MOOCs. So this is primarily for a university curriculum that was primarily developed for average citizens and yeah, so we can have it like we can use it both ways, which I think is very special, and I really like it. It's all the material you see, it can't be just used for teaching yourself, but it can also be used for teaching others. So if you are a teacher or at a university or also at high school or whatever school, and you think about how can you teach this to your students, you can happily use this stuff. So it's free. So those three MOOCs have different focus areas. So the first one is sovereign handling of like your account data. So as it's the first we use, this is the one which gives an introduction into digital self-defense and what is this, and so the well, to think that you're not too paranoid but also not too naive. So where do you cut the line? So this is introductory stuff for all three MOOCs as well. And then you see something about like login data and how this different kinds of this. Then it looks into passwords and password manager more deeply. Why it's important to use good passwords, and it's also about authentication in the web and central authentication services like Google and Facebook, and it's also about identity theft, so introducing those concepts. The second one is a sovereign movement in the network. So it's about which data traces do you leave, what does it mean to you to keep your data secure. So then about browsers, so how can I use alternative search engines, how can I check which cookies are set, where can I just do the settings for the cookies, how it whether what is private browsing stuff, etc. So then of course cloud is a topic here when we're talking about security networks. So what do you have to think about when you choose a cloud? So which you should use, which data should be in cloud and which not. And then it's about messages in the web. So it's about email and messages primarily. So what are the pros and cons for each of those? And finally, we're also talking about Wi-Fi and Wi-Fi usage. So and then the third one, which is sovereign handling of data and devices. So and this is now really what the stuff you have in your hand, like your laptop, your smartphone, all the devices you're using and how you use them and how you can secure those devices. So like doors and doors like firewalls, screen locks. Then also it's about digital hygiene. So what kind of data and software do I have? So then it's about encryption. How can I encrypt data? What is about how do you handle data from other people, like USBs, thumb drives, or special software where you store data somewhere else. And so all the titles of the MOOCs, you can already see that it's about sovereignty. So, which is a pretty difficult term when you think about it, but I really like it because that I really want to show that it's not about what is the best security you can have and how can I be as secure as possible, but it's really about learning to be able to have a self-reflective, sovereign, so that I can move and know myself what to do, so that I can think about technology I use and reflect about it, as the field is so huge. So if you look at this, what is now what the special topics within the MOOC may be outdated in 5 years, but the approaches on how you approach which software you use, what technology you use, this should be relevant even in a long time. So let's look at how those are made up, those MOOCs. So that's just one page from one of the MOOCs, and what you can see here. So on campus is the company. So you have chapters which you can just scroll through, and each chapter has sub-chapters. So yeah, you can, there you see the mouse pointer. So you see there's not too many lessons in this chapter. There can be even like sub-chapters and stuff. And on the bottom you see the content of one lesson. So that could be text, slides, videos, it can be chats, it can just be external literature, it can be quizzes. There are also some polls, and I want to show you some of those as examples. So it's not about like just showing you everything what you can do about digital self-defense just in this one small talk, but I'll just want to show you what's the scope of the MOOCs and what you can expect if you want to do them. So on the top you can see one more like area, which is a community area more or less. So you have a forum, and you will have also like tasks in the forums. So like what are your exchanging experiences. You can even like win badges or like work for badges. You have some gamification in there as well. So this is like the course look on the MOOCs. So and now I'm looking at some examples. So a lot is done by H5P, which is a tool to create interactive elements in websites easily. So here you see slides, which I think are rather pretty because they have like very sharp contents, and you can have pictures to underline what you want to say, which makes one lesson also not as long because you have one topic which is in slides and not like subchapter after subchapter. And sometimes the slides also have quizzes to have a short moment to reflect about what you just read, because usually if you just read and read and read, you get passive pretty quickly and just let it kind of go through you without without remembering anything. On the right side you can see a quiz, which are they're by design not difficult. So this MOOC is not about creating huge barriers until you can be successful, but those quizzes are usually rather easy, and you can also repeat them. And they're here just to think about shortly what you just read about. So it's not really a test character. But if you do those quizzes, you can also get badges. So there's several badges you can earn, and when you have and you also get a small certificate at the end of the MOOC if you did if you finished the course and got 80% of all the tasks done. We also have interactive videos in different formats. So here you see a screenshot, a picture, where you can see this is like an interview, but we also have some which are just from YouTube, or some that are just animated. So just to reduce the amount of text we use. And there's also sometimes quizzes and stuff to have a short break. Sometimes we also have explanations. This is not all the time because it's a very moving target where a lot is done, and the browser stuff, so like browsers change all the time, and so updating those videos can be a bit tedious.
So you just kind of have to work out how it works. And you can also browse the web for explanations. We also have interactive tooltip texts, where you also get additional comments and hints. And I also like the feature where we have simulated chats. that provide answers to you. Sometimes you can choose from different answers to get a different approach to the relevant topics. So, for example, you might have frequently or typically asked questions or reactions. We also have polls. And we also have a badge which you can earn by taking polls. But you don't need to earn the badges. They're just a little additional feature. We use the polls to get information on what patterns or categories of action we have, and people can see how popular their own opinion or their own actions are. Some polls also are also taken into account by further content so that users can review their answers in the poll by being prompted to answer the same question again and to review their opinion. We also have those badges. In my experience, everyone likes them differently. I think it's very interesting to see how users react to those. Myself, I'm not really gamey, but others love earning those badges and making it a little bit of a competition. It also symbolizes the progress for some people. In my first feedback for the first run I did for the university, the range of opinions was very wide. So we had people who weren't interested in the badges at all and people who had positive reviews. So they are a kind of do your thing. So they're just a nice little additional feature. So we have an introductory badge, which you get for a small quiz on a topic. So, for example, if you've taken a poll, if you've contributed to a forum, you get a little badge. Now, time's looking good. So I would like to continue on how to use the MOOCs. As I said in the beginning, they're a self-learning tool. So it's autodidactory. You can get an introduction to topics, reflect on your own actions and behavior. So it's not only about learning how to secure your browser or to encrypt your mail step by step, but it's also about reflecting about your own behavior and your own security measures. If you're interested in getting a certificate from our university, that's also possible. In the introductory phase, we had a larger scope. This has been phased out, but we could continue this kind of program on request. So if you want to take a test on it, we call them reports. And you can actually get a certificate from our university, and you can use it as credit points if you're a student. And you can also transfer them to other universities if they allow it. You could also use the slides or this whole program as for your own lectures. It's made to address pupils, so we have an informal approach, and I hope that we have a good basic structure that everyone can understand and work with. And there are different templates which you can use for different purposes, and you can also adapt the lectures if you, for example, if you want to have your pupils only complete 3 out of 6 polls or something. So feel free to use those lectures as you want. I'll have a workshop tomorrow on this topic. So if you've had the chance to look at the MOOC or can do so until tomorrow, if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them tomorrow. Or maybe we can go deeper into one or another topic. So that takes me to the end of this presentation. I'm happy to hear your questions, your feedback, maybe have a discussion, maybe receive ideas from you. So feel free. Thank you for your very fascinating presentation and for the impressions that we gained. So summing up, it's free. There are no prerequisites. You can just start it from your browser and start earning badges and points. So if you want to complete a test at the university, you have to pay a fee, but you can use it online for free. That's a very great offer. So how long have you been doing this? I started last semester, and this is the first time I used it in an actual lecture, and I got very positive feedback. The students liked that it was a very different approach to lecturing. The contents were able to include different kinds of knowledge from the participants, and without counting in our university, we still had more than 500 participants university independently, so that's a nice number to start with. Do you have more information about the participants, who they are? Are they students, or are they internationals using it? Anything surprising or anything intriguing? I don't have those statistics, I'm afraid. So you're not tracking your users? No, yeah, I would have to implement such statistics. I do think that most traffic is from our own institute, but I think I had 40 to 50 participants within my semester course, and we had 500 participants online, so there were more than just my course participants. But also universities are also using our coursework, so that will account for about 60 users. So these about 100 users are the ones that are known to me, but I've also heard of students who are going to become teachers that are using that. So, but I don't know them personally. So what would be your ideal target audience? Becoming teachers, or? I think this topic is relevant to everyone. And I designed the coursework for students in their first semester, so it doesn't require a lot of knowledge to start with. So I think it can be interesting and can be feasible for anyone who's interested in the topic or who would like to gain further knowledge on the topic, whether it be students or pensioners or people who work in the industry or people who just want to know about it in their free time. So it's for everybody. And the topic is becoming more and more important. I don't know if you know the website sicherheitimnetz.de, but there they have this concept called digital neighborhood, to have some kind of community building and to have users interact when protecting themselves online. So let me see if we've got questions from the audience. There's also an offer from Technikum Wien in Vienna, which is which goes in the same direction. I'll post the link on Twitter and Mastodon. So tomorrow you're going to give a workshop that goes into more detail for people who are intrigued but maybe have questions or want to discuss further, where you'll provide some kind of introduction to them. Yeah, that's it. I planned an open concept because I don't know how many participants we'll have. So we'll just see tomorrow how it's going and what questions the audience or the participants have, whether it's about the MOOCs themselves or the content. We'll just see what pops up. Another question. If I completed the training, am I tech savvy and have finished my coursework and education in digital self-defense? No, of course not, because there's always something you can learn on top. It's just a basic introduction. Even if we had managed to cover all the topics that are relevant, another topic would pop up tomorrow because it's an ever-developing topic. We also get feedback sometimes where users put in what they're missing, and I hope that from the coursework people can take some kind of confidence in dealing with challenges that appear online and also future challenges that the coursework doesn't address. Because you often see how essential this information is, because sometimes you have browser plugins that pretend to protect you but do the exact opposite. So this shows how difficult and tricky this can be. Because if you're an amateur, of course you can't have all that knowledge to deal with those topics. But with the coursework, I hope to give participants an introduction and some confidence in dealing with those protection measures. What is the greatest challenge you're facing? Is that, yeah, the way the online world is always changing is a challenge. I created the MOOCs, and when I finished them, I already noticed that contents were missing or were outdated. So keeping up with current developments is a big challenge, but it shouldn't hinder you from offering this kind of coursework. I think that we all know this kind of problem. So are there any additional questions from the audience? I'll have a quick look. It looks like we don't have other questions. So we'll shift to the virtual break room, where maybe you will meet people who will have follow-up questions. So thank you for being here, and see you tomorrow at, I think, 3 p.m., right? Yeah. 3 to 4 p.m. So you'll find the log in on the PrivacyWeek website. So thank you for listening and have a nice afternoon.